What's up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having a great Thursday. I'm just going to hop right into this video here. If you see any scam ads, please don't participate in those. Obviously, we've had interesting news regarding the XRPL over the past couple days or so. I'll go over this just briefly. Ripple pilots a private ledger for central banks, launching central bank digital currencies. Ripple's piloting a private version of the public open source XRP ledger that provides central banks a secure, controlled, and flexible solution for the issuance and management of digital currencies. Now we can go through this entire thing here. The CBDC private ledger is based on the same blockchain technology that powers the XRPL, which means that the CBDC private ledger is built for payments. I would argue built for settlement. This also means that the CBDC private ledger is designed for issuing currencies. With over 5,400 currencies issued on the XRPL over the past 8 years, including its native digital asset XRP, which can be leveraged as a neutral bridge asset for frictionless value movement between CBDCs and other currencies. All right, so we're going to see where this goes. Not surprising at all to me. I know that I think Sam, to the lifeboats, Green Eggs and Sam on Twitter, brought this up a couple years ago. Obviously, we all have different opinions, and then when things shake out, they are what they are. So, kudos to him for even, trying to think outside the box a little bit. But, I've seen, I think Lee from SPQR did something or said something similar about this in the past. Now, from my understanding, obviously, there won't be a difference in price between the private ledger, if organizations and institutions decide to utilize XRP as a bridge mechanism on the private ledger versus the public ledger. So let's see where this goes. Again, in my opinion, XRP is extremely suppressed, and I think it's suppressed for a reason, so I'm holding for a reason. So part of my long-term holdings. Now, one of my other coins that I would consider a long-term holding is obviously HBAR, and this is top 5 global utility. EDF joins the Hedera Governing Council, the first council member from the utility industry joining Hedera's governing board at this point. What's really interesting, if you go and take a look at the members of Hedera's governing board, it's almost like they're trying to build out a new ecosystem that encompasses multiple disciplines to try to tackle any problem that they may have with adoption. So they've got legal, they've got technology, other technology brands, they've got, now we're moving into utilities at this point. We've already seen through HBAR the use of Hedera Hashgraph, that military document that came out from, I think it was SecNav and the Department of Defense, talking about upgrading smart grids using Hashgraph technology, and they directly mentioned Swirlds, obviously the parent company. So, we'll see where this goes. I think Hedera Hashgraph, I think HBAR is a monster. I think anything outside of the top 15 or 20 is a joke. And I think if you were to ask me which potential coins could eventually usurp Bitcoin, because I believe fervently that at some point Bitcoin does get usurped by something with utility. Now, that may not be this market cycle, that may not be next market cycle. But at some point it happens, in my opinion, and when it happens, it's pretty much game over, right? Because then utility has usurped something that wasn't supposed to die. And I don't think Bitcoin dies, and I'm not knocking anybody for investing in it. I just believe that at some point, if that wasn't the case, we would still see blockbusters around selling VHSs, right? So it is what it is. I think that HBAR is a giant. And, I bought at 6 cents last year. I bought at 3 cents last year. And now I'm just kind of sitting, hoping that it will do what I think that it will do. I think that to say that HBAR could go to $1, I would have no problem saying that. Not financial advice, obviously. That's only a 5x from here, or wherever it's at right now. It was at like 16 or 17 cents today. All right, moving on. By the way, this EDF is like a state-owned. I saw it on Wikipedia, so it must be true. Electricité de France, and commonly known as EDF, is a French multinational electric utility company, largely owned by the French state. 71.2 billion euros in revenues in 2016, 120 plus gigawatts of generation capacity in Europe, South America, North America, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. 58 nuclear reactors. I mean, they're not a small potatoes type company, or they're big. And I think, like we just said, top 5 global. So Hedera is making consistent waves. All right, moving forward here. This Bobby XRP Axelrod. I saw somebody post, actually, if you're looking at a new project, see if Solomon or see if Fame21 More Darren are looking at it. I actually, from the Binance chain type stuff, I've starting to delve a little bit more into that. I'm very worried about going heavy into the Binance Smart Chain things, mainly because I think that it's much more centralized. When I see, I was asked on Patreon, I'm not trying to shill Patreon, to start looking into these whitelisting events for Binance Smart Chain projects. There are legit projects on Binance Smart Chain. I think that BSC launch, or that BSC pad one that just came out, I saw it and I was like, man, because as far as the Ethereum ecosystem is concerned and the DOT ecosystem and stuff like that, even if they're Ether coins, I think those IDO platforms are huge. Now, if you're not aware what an IDO platform is, it's essentially an initial decentralized offering, kind of like an ICO, kind of like an IPO, but it gives investors an early opportunity through like lotteries and whitelisting events to get into these coins at like, I think paid IDO, the paid network IDO is at like 2 cents, and it listed to Uniswap literally 3 hours later at 38 cents. So you did a 20x or a 19x or whatever in a matter of 3 or 4 hours if you can get on the whitelist. So there are legit projects on Binance Smart Chain. I'm certainly going to be looking for legit ones, and I'm going to present the whitelisting events regardless, even if they're not legit and if they're scammy, because I would hope that people are smart enough to realize that if they get on a whitelisting and they get to participate in something really early and they do a 20 or a 50x in 2 or 3 days, they should probably cash out some profits, right? Maybe create a dummy wallet even if you want to, do it that way. So, but this is from Bobby today, and I've noticed that he follows some of these projects before I even find them on Binance Smart Chain. The dude only has 188 followers on Twitter, which is a joke in my opinion because he's extremely smart from every conversation I've had with him. This is Meerkat Finance, essentially hacked for $31 million. Now, what Bobby says up here is that PancakeSwap can potentially do the exact same thing. If you look into Binance Smart Chain, it's much more centralized than Ethereum is. So yeah, you pay gas fees, and that really sucks on Ethereum. There's, if you're using DEXs, decentralized exchanges. But PancakeSwap, if you look into them, I know this is huge right now, and I participate in PancakeSwap to an extent, but I certainly wouldn't be putting all my funds on there through staking. If you stake, there's essentially this code that I still think to this day I haven't seen that they've removed or pulled that code. There's a code called the Migrator code, I believe, that came over from a fork of SushiSwap that essentially entitles the owners of that exchange operating that code to pull funds, which is really, really scary. So, this, all I'm saying is use an extra level of caution with anything in DeFi. But when you see 20 new coins a day coming out on Binance Smart Chain, and I'm sure that they come out on Ethereum too, that are all like insane yield farming projects with no team and not a lot of partnerships, that makes me worried. So I don't know, pay attention. All right. Now, I wanted to go over this platform a little bit here. And first, I want to tell you, you got to take this with a grain of salt, because this thing did a 15, I think it did close to a 20x from when I ended up getting in, but like a 15x since I posted. Now, I did shut all the tiers down to Patreon, by the way, so I don't know. People are still subscribing for some reason. I'll still post, obviously. 4 interesting coins final. This is January 19th. I did the draft, obviously, January 18th. This is Plasma Pay. Now, they have 2 platforms. Essentially, Plasma Pay is like the actual business end of this thing. Plasma Finance is the digital asset. Plasma Finance also has utility for a lot of different reasons, but I strongly suggest looking into platforms like this if you can find them that appear to have utility, actual partners, and are trying to solve problems with what's going on with DeFi. And for me, this one checked all the boxes. This is why I posted this January 18th. I guess we can run through here a little bit. I mean, obviously 32 cents right now. It was up to 40 cents, I believe. I think January 17th is when I ended up getting it. It was like 2 cents, right around 2 cents on the 18th. This was another one I posted from that, and I sold this one after it did. I think Zero Swap did a 5x, and I sold it. I don't even remember what it was whenever I ended up getting into this one. But this is another interesting one. Yeah, this thing wasn't even a penny. Oh yeah, okay, 8 cents, sorry. 8 cents, and it went up to $1.77 February 12th, which is insane. I just wanted to put that on there. But Plasma Pay and Plasma Finance is really interesting, and I'm going to go over them for just a second. Now, what I would be cognizant of right now is this thing essentially has just done like a 5x from 6 cents, which is, I rebought at 6 cents. It went up to 40, now it's right around 30, 32 cents-ish, right? I'd be curious to see, because they're supposed to be rolling out their staking platform. I'd be curious to see what happens with price, because they just partnered with Alliance Block. We saw Alliance Block do a 15x also, and now it's kind of consolidating. Alliance Block almost hit $1, and it's really been hovering around that 60, 70 cents range for the past like month at this point. I'm still holding that. I'm doing liquidity mining on Alliance Block, but I'm curious to see if this goes through a little bit of an accumulation period or not. Market cap's 42 million bucks. So if it solves the problems, and I'll go over those in a second, here are some of the solutions that they have or they're proposing, and they actually work and they provide utility, I think 42 million bucks is still low. Not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy into something that just did a 5x. I'm just telling you maybe it's something to put on your radar. First off, they've got this flash rebalancer that they talked about. Now, they have integrations with multiple DEXs on Plasma Pay, right? Plasma Finance. They've got 1inch, Sushi Swap, I think that's Curve, and Balancer, right? And Uniswap is on there too. Essentially being able to transfer liquidity between all of your pools that you may have on these different DEXs with one transaction, which sounds like that's probably impossible, because if you've used Uniswap, you know absolutely everything is like, it's a transaction cluster. You've got to do multiple different things at multiple different times between multiple different platforms to try to get these things to go through if you're going to go into a pool. This is giant. Now, they did a Medium post about this. A single transaction liquidity balancing across pairs with Flash Rebalancer. So if you want to check this stuff out on Plasma Pay, I am not an affiliate with them. I started trying to BS with, I don't know if it's one of the, I've been BSing back and forth just with the platform, and I've put out some assumptions that I have as to where this stuff goes. And I'm not going to say anything that I'm not supposed to say, but let's just say that if it's legit and they actually come out with some of the stuff that I'm assuming, and I asked in a very assuming type way to them, and they came back and didn't necessarily disagree with what I was asking, it's going to be big in my opinion. I don't think there's many platforms that are going to compete with it. So yeah, check out this Flash Rebalancer, essentially for one transaction liquidity transfers over from different pools. And then there's staking as well. What's interesting about their staking, and it's a really interesting use case, is that they're coming out with this new XPPay token. So PPay is the ticker for Plasma Finance. XPPay is going to be the new ticker. Now, the rewards for staking are going to be distributed in this. I've read that I think the minimum lock period is 24 hours, but also they partnered with Alliance Block through the liquidity. I think they're going to have a liquidity mining thing on Alliance Block too, which Alliance Block's platform, from my understanding, does not have lockups. 24 hours is not bad though. But this is what's interesting. I was reading through this today. XPPay, which is the new asset created, which you earn on a 1-to-1 ratio if you choose to stake PPay, is a derivative asset. So XPPay can be considered as your stock share of the Plasma Finance platform, entitling you to all future platform earnings similar to dividends from stocks in centralized finance. And this Plasma Pay, same thing with Alliance Block, same thing with Frontier. Paid Network is tied into that. They're essentially trying to not only bridge, DeFi projects and stuff like that. They're trying to essentially create a bridge between centralized finance and decentralized finance. Alliance Block, in my opinion, is probably heavy on that from the regulatory standpoint, just because of what they're trying to do with their platform. But they're innovative as well with some of their other protocols and what they're trying to get out there. So moving back down through here, PPay staking, XPPay in a 1-to-1 ratio for every PPay you stake. Now, 0.02% of all plasma swap trading and volume will be converted into PPay tokens and distributed to stakers in the proportion to their share of total staked PPay. Share of the staking pool obviously plays a role. They talked a little bit about, talking about XPPay being higher in value. See if I can find it. So you're going to get a 1-to-1 allocation regardless. XPPay price will always be higher than that of the price of Plasma Pay on the market because it includes the future profit. Okay. Now, last but not least, I did want to just say, this is another thing that they're working on. And I watched this video, but really I just kind of wanted to point this tiny section of it out. If you guys aren't interested in this, that is completely fine. But, when I find things, I'm going to present them. Essentially being able to connect your MetaMask directly into Plasma and not having to use Ethereum at all for gas fees, which in my opinion is absolutely gigantic. So I'll play this real quick.
Features that we will have in upcoming months. And now we're mostly focusing on launching our own Plasma Swap interface. So we have a lot of products on the market like Uniswap, SushiSwap, 1inch, for example. And we just want to build a better solution from our vision, a better protocol, a better tools for the traders who trade on the DEXs. And also one of the super unique piece of upcoming Plasma Swap solution will be ability to make any trade or any transfer from your MetaMask wallet without having a zero balance. So the use case is super simple, and it's helping a lot for the mass adoption of the cryptocurrency. Any newbie user coming on the market and get their first token and then don't know what to do with this token, how to send it somewhere, how to exchange this token. And some more advanced person explained that go to the centralized exchange, buy some Ethereum, put it on your wallet, and then make this transfer. And when you make it, there's still a dust of this Ethereum still live on your wallet, and you will forever forget about this money. So on the Plasma Finance, you will have ability to make transaction with any token without having this Ethereum balance in your wallet.
Now, I actually read a little bit about, you can go into their websites and try to deep dive and stuff and find out about more about how that is actually possible. It's essentially like a smart contract on the back end that, I don't want to say like a token wrapper, but from what I understood, from what I read and from what they're trying to present to everybody is, you can essentially just pay for the gas fees with any token that you already have. You don't have to use Ether, which is gigantic. That changes the game. We can see their advisory board here. And one of the reasons and one of the things, and when I think I got into this thing, it was I don't even remember what the market cap of this thing was. $3 million, something like that. I always try to look at integrations. I always try to, and this, just as more of a general tip, just because something is new and has a 2 or 3 or a $4 million market cap, obviously it's risky. Obviously it's more volatile because that liquidity isn't built up in these assets yet. When I found this, though, they have 2 websites. They have plasma.finance and plasmapay.com. Plasmapay.com is the one that's been around for a while. And you start looking down through seeing if something's legit or not. Okay, it has actual links. You can go to actual links. It just isn't a one-page thing that you go to. So it obviously, from a visual standpoint, it appears not to be a scam, right? Now you start going down through it, and the best way to go about this is to try to vet different things out. Roadmaps are fantastic. Architecture fantastic. Milestones fantastic. But what I'm really worried about are integrations that I can find actual news pieces about, partnerships that I can find confirmation that they are actually partners. And you can see Orion, which Orion's a giant, Elrond, APY Finance, Settle, Kira, Kava, Paid Network. They did just partner with Alliance Block too. Future products. Then I'm curious about the advisory board. We have an actual team with LinkedIn's So, that checks off a lot of the, if somebody asks me to look into a project, I can pretty much go through and within 5 minutes be like, okay, I'm going to look at this more, or no, I'm not going to do it. It's too risky. Not to say that I don't get into speculative things, but it is what it is. Now, Master Ventures is interesting because Plasma and Paid Network are partners, obviously. I got into Paid around the same time, and when you can find these little ecosystem coins, that's what really starts being interesting to me. Let's go real quick. And this is Master Ventures, okay? These are their spinoffs, House of Die, Paid Network, CEA. I got to check into that one, House of Die. Now we can go down here, their network. But I was interested when I initially got into Paid was what was in their portfolio. And they had a really strong portfolio, from my opinion. I think Paid is on here to some extent at some point. Or maybe I just found that one dude. I think that one dude is the CEO of Paid, actually. This Kyle guy, I think he is the actual head of Paid, I believe. So I looked into this. You can see Coinbase, Kraken, Ripple. I mean, all the big names. Reef, obviously. I'm in Reef. Elrond, Quant. Gather, I was thinking about. Kylan, I'm going to get free airdrops anyways. Bridge, I'm going to get free airdrops anyways. Superfarm, I actually did get Superfarm. So yeah, paying attention to that. Polka Foundry, I got to look at. I think that their IDO is coming out soon. And, okay. I also found this interesting. So I always try to just deep dive as much as I can with these platforms here. But I saw this, and this could be nothing legitimately, but who knows? Block producers and nodes, 49 out of 49. Spread out all across the world, right? BBVA. Is that Bank of Kuwait? Citigroup. E-Trade. First City Bank. Northern Trust. Bank of America. There's Citigroup. Westpac. Morgan Stanley, HSBC. So I might be taking too much stock into this when I found that, but it's just another thing to look at. That Master Ventures also, I think they're tied in with Launchpool. I just saw that tonight, and I thought I've seen, yeah. So they're tied in with Launchpool too. This Launchpool is essentially a platform. Now it says obviously you can't participate if you're in the US. But you can stake and still earn the tokens, at least from my experience. I'm not giving you any pointers, but the token rollout for this thing was interesting. Now, this is another IDO platform. Projects are going to be launched on here, similar to what we see with Paid's Ignition platform, similar to what we see with Pools, similar to what we see with Polka Starter, and all of those have done really well. Launchpool is going to do the same thing. And if you already have, like a lot of people received a 1-inch airdrop for free, if you have 1-inch Bondly, there's like probably 7 or 8, I think it might be like 10 at this point, tokens where you can just stake and literally earn Launchpool pretty much risk free. All you're doing is just eating the gas for Ethereum. I actually did buy a little bit of Launchpool as well as staking some other coins onto here. They are tied in with Master Ventures, obviously. It's hard to find information about them, but I have. They are a legit project, not financial advice. Always do your own research. But the tokenomics of this thing, I wouldn't be expecting to get rich off of this. It's right around $20 right now for a Launchpool token, I believe. The initial rollout on day one, 500K Launchpool tokens were released. 10 million is the max. Every day, I think 94,000 get released into the staking. And yeah, so I think in 90 days, it reaches like 8.5 million Launchpool tokens, or like 7.5 or 8.5. And that will be the total circulating supply. The rest is for the foundation and treasury. So essentially, it is a better version of a fair launch. You just have to know what you're doing, because you are potentially going to have selling pressure because people are earning these free tokens at like higher APYs, right? So you kind of have to do the risk reward. Do I want to earn these tokens? This is something that I just want to have the tokens, because I believe that if you have an IDO platform where projects are going to launch on it, and if one tier 1 project that ends up doing really well launches on a platform like this, the token demand, in my opinion, is going to go up. It's a hedged risk. It's similar to what we're seeing with this X Sigma one. Now, X Sigma Right now, it's not showing it because my wallet's not connected. Like 2,400% APY or something like that. I think X Sigma tokens are floating between $9 and $12. Again, price of these tokens could go down, but I've seen that, like, from what I personally put in, I've gained like 40 of these X Sigma tokens in the past like 2 days. You have to obviously learn about impermanent loss and stuff like that for this type of thing. But let me see if I can find why I wanted to participate in this. And now this essentially is like a multiple use cases. They haven't even released their roadmap yet. So everything's risky in this space, right? But I did look, and I am not going to take credit for this one at all. This is actually Fame 21 More, XRP Darren. This is his wife. So our future More. I saw that she had posted about this and I looked into it a little bit. Their team member, you got Alex Lebed, former engineer at Facebook, Amazon, and 1inch. Former engineer at Google, Forbes 30 under 30. Daniel Garay, former product manager at Google and Ripple. Jesse Browner, former senior engineer at Ripple. And you got a financial systems architect as well. I do believe, like we've seen, they're tied in with, that was Launchpool. But yeah, this is an actual, ZK International is an actually like a NASDAQ company. They deal in steel, stuff like that, but their blockchain division is called X Sigma. This is that X Sigma. They've got multiple different projects. They're releasing their white paper this week. We'll see what happens. I think just from the team standpoint, you can vet the team out, obviously. I went onto their LinkedIns and made sure that these people were working where they said they were working at X Sigma. They've got stablecoin initiatives, supply chains, Internet of Things, decentralized finance. And hopefully this one pans out. I mean, like I said, the one thing to be cognizant of on a platform like this is you're going to eat gas fees getting in. You're not guaranteed that the asset price is going to stay up. But if you got decent utility, there's a chance that it could go up. And you potentially have whales getting into these things too, and they're earning this yield, and then they're going to be cashing it out and dumping it back on the market, and they're just going to continue earning while they keep the price low or whatever, however they want to do it. You know what I mean? But there's constant sell pressure on something like Launchpool and X Sigma as well. But if you think it's going to be a legit project, if it has a decent team behind it, use metrics. I mean, I always try to look at team. I always try to look at potential utility. This one, I'm curious to see what happens with the roadmap and how that gets shaken out. But I don't even know. 2,400% APY, it is what it is. Even if the price goes down, in my opinion, and I have coins that can offset it and almost even me out, I don't really care because I think the utility is going to drive these things up, assuming that they're legit platforms. So yeah, check out Plasma Pay and Plasma Finance if you want to. If not, fantastic. If something just does a 5 or a 10x, in my opinion, I'm probably not going to be buying right then, but I might wait for buying opportunities. Alliance Block, in my opinion, has been going through a consolidation period right now. And I might be looking to snag a little bit more Alliance Block. So I don't know. Let's see what Plasma does. Let's see if it goes through a consolidation period. Let's see if it keeps going up. I'm really good, and I cashed out a little bit of Plasma, just pretty much like my initial buy-in, and then a tiny bit more to get into X Sigma. But I wouldn't consider myself a Plasma whale, but I'm like maybe like a Plasma bass or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna stake on the platform. I'm gonna stake with Alliance Block too, because I think that if they're legit and if they deliver on what they are saying they're gonna deliver on, through staking, through single transaction liquidity swaps, and they've got some other interesting prospects in the pipeline too, from what I've asked them about. It should be really big, and I think $40 million market cap might be a joke for that one. So we'll see where it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If not, fantastic. I know that I haven't done a video in a while, so just busy all the time, and trying to be a little bit more cautious with some of the selections that I make at this point. Unless I see an opportunity, I'm going to hop onto it. But yeah, we'll go from there. So always do your own research, not financial advice. And I will talk to you guys if there's news to present. All right, later.